Hello, my garden friends. I wanted to show you a pre-freeze tour of my backyard. We're hitting the 40s later on this week. We've had a couple nights where it got down to 35 actually the other night. And we're expecting, I think Sunday night they're saying it's going to go down to 31. So I thought I would give you a tour of the backyard because, to be honest, I really, it gets down to 31, and I think my Plumeria that have been in here for the last 12, 13 years may very well take a hit and not survive. You can see all the tops of these. Normally, when this all comes out, you see how it all divides. Each one of those would have a bloom end, and the blooms would then be anywhere from, I don't know, 10 to 15 blooms on the end of each. So I normally have, this past year I had hundreds of blooms. But this one is 2 trees. You have to see one that goes this way and one that goes this way. This big one is one whole tree, and that's probably about, what is that, maybe 12 feet? It's about as tall as, twice as tall as me. So, and then the one over here is, again, that's two trees. And then I have a couple small little, 5 foot and I think a few foot. But it's to the point where I really can't get out here and cover all of this anymore. It's gotten much too large. The crepe myrtle will be just fine. They'll take it like a champ. This is a Florida maple tree, so it's lost its leaves and it will be fine. I planted a couple. This is Brazilian spinach. I don't know how that will take it, but from what I understand, these 2 little moringas, this one and this one, I'm trying to figure out a clever little frost cloth for them. I do have frost cloth, so I might try and figure out something to salvage them. The tea plants, I don't know if they're going to handle 31 degrees, but we'll see. We'll see. The hibiscus, they've come through it before. The agapanthus has all come through it before. This is sweet potato. I'm not worried about that. This is the little onion patch that I planted a week or so ago. And I think they'll be fine if they've germinated. I think they'll handle it. Onions can pretty much take it. Another hibiscus, and this was a sweet potato pot that I took. I've tried to clear out all of this stuff, and I've got a couple more of the giant Japanese red mustards. They will be fine. Of course, this is both kale, and there's some bok choy down in amongst all of that, and I think that will be fine. This is a pigeon pea, and I think that'll take it like a champ too. You can see that it's gotten its peas on it, but the peas, I don't know, whoops, I think the peas are starting to, can you see they're actually starting to get a little chubby. So we might get something edible out of that. I think the compost pile will be happy to have a good freeze, and that'll take it. This is where the papaya was, and I wanted to show you that we took out the main stalk. Well, Rick cut it down. You saw him do that, and I started pulling out some of the roots, and I wanted to show you that the roots that were coming out of it are here. I didn't cut them off yet, but look at this. Came out of over here, and you can see how much root is still in there. I've probably got, I'll bet there's another 6 or 7 feet. So when you see a tree that is skinny and tall like a papaya tree, remember it went up, it was about 15 feet high, and you think, I wonder how that stands up in the wind. Well, that's because it probably has several roots underneath that are about 15 feet high. Anyway, there was something I wanted to show you in that. Oh, here's another, that giant Japanese red mustard. I mean, that'll be interesting to see if it survives 31 degrees. As well as this staghorn fern, I'm not sure. But, like every farmer who looks at the disaster, they kind of shake their head and go, well, next year. I'm still turning my tumbler, giving that a tumble the envirocycle.com tumbler that my friend gave me, and I'll bet the freeze will be just wonderful for it. And we'll say goodbye to the backyard, and hopefully I'll be able to show you in a week that everything survived. But I wanted to show you the Plumeria. Now, people ask me about Plumeria all the time. How do you know when it's alive and how do you know when it's dead? Well, trust me, this one is dead. Somebody gave this to me. I was walking in the neighborhood and I noticed that somebody had a red Plumeria, and I thought, the only Plumeria I ever have is the white one that I smuggled back from Hawaii in my shoe in 1979. And that's where all of these, all of those, and probably 100 other branches came from, as well as this one right here. Now, you can see, so anyway, back to this one. This was red, and I thought, yeah, I've always wanted another color. So he pulled it out of water. He said, oh, here, my aunt always roots hers in water. And I thought, well, there's one I've never heard. So I took it and I brought it home and stuck it in soil. And it had no roots to it. And I thought, boy, this is not the way we did it in Hawaii, and it's not the way I've done it here. And so I let it sit in soil. The idea is you water it once and then wait until it gets roots, and then wait until the ends start to get kind of wet looking, and then you know that when it's getting wet looking that it is taking up water from what would be your roots and the whole way up here, and when that starts getting wet looking, then you know that down below you've got roots, and then you can start watering again. But you only water it once to get it started. So anyway, that was what I did, and I waited a month or two, and took it up, and it was all concaved underneath, and I thought, well, this isn't going to make it, so I tried cutting it off again. I let it scab over and dry. Used a little rooting powder, and it seemed like it was doing okay. These all looked like they were starting to come along. And for some reason or other, about 2-3 weeks ago, I don't know if we had a cold snap or what, and it started looking really bad. But I wanted to show you that you can, I don't know if you can see that I'm actually, no, probably not. Can you see that I'm actually able to push my finger into it? Okay. So I'm going to take this out and show you what I think is probably going to be nothing. Because, well, no, I'm not feeling anything down here. And I'm wondering if it ever rooted at all. I mean, that's really not. No. It might have about an inch of, no, not going to bother with it. As a matter of fact, this soil, I'm just going to take it and probably dispose of it as well, because I don't want to have, if there's any fungus in this, then I don't want to have that added to it. But Let me just wipe my fingers here. I don't want to. There we go. But look at this one. See, you could almost hear that, can't you? That I'm knocking against it. That is a good hard stem, and it was. It came up. It's grown these 3 this year, and if I wanted to, I could cut this back. If I cut it back, let me just explain this to you. If I cut it back, I would probably take it up and give it a good hand size, hand width, that I would take that. And I would probably take it right to here. Let me come around. Can you see that? There's like a little knob there. And I'll bet that that would send off another branch. Sorry, I don't know if that's going to even show, if that's going to be too blurry for you. But the same here. If I wanted to, let me back off and show you that if I were going to plant this as a tree, I would probably want to cut it right about there so that it might divide and do a threesome coming out this way, so that I would have interest all 3. Unless, of course, I was trying to put it in a corner of the yard and I needed to have it grow, only in one direction. So anyway, I just wanted to show you, how do we in Florida prepare. And I actually like to go through and make sure that I've still got some good growth on this. Now this pot is going to, because it's a pot, it's a clay pot, and I have most of my stuff. This was for the night that it went down to 35, and I just took all of my plants that are normally all along this edge. I put everything over here, and then this is a frost cloth that's supposed to bring it up like 2 or 3 degrees. Well, I doubled it over. I think it's tripled over actually, and then I kind of wrapped it around, ran it along here, and I had everything covered. And the fact that it's close to the house, it gets some heat from the house, and then it should have been, a good 6-7 degrees higher. Now for 31 degrees, I'm not sure that Christmas cactus and some of the more tropical, I guess that's all I have really here now, is just a few little things. I don't know if I'm going to have to carry all this into the house. But I also have, you can see the plug going in there. There's a set of Christmas lights, and if I left those on all night, it wouldn't burn anything. I think it would be safe, but I think it might add some heat into that. So that might be an option. So for those of us in these cold areas, that's really unusual. We don't always get a freeze here in Florida, and if they're saying 31 already, it's definitely a few hours of that. So anyway, garden what you've got. I hope for everyone in Florida that we all survive and stay nice and toasty. And I hope you guys will check out my videos and come subscribe and come back and see what I've got going once we warm up again. Take care. Bye-bye.